Welcome back to another one. So I was going about my morning routine, pretty typical, and I check YouTube, and I see something in my recommendations. You can see it there on screen. Content Cop on H3 from iDubbbz. This floored me. I have no idea what to expect from this video. I did not expect that it was coming. I just found out about it a few minutes ago. Wow. So for some context about myself, I have been watching both of their had been watching both of their channels for many, many years. Like we're talking like old school, like commentary YouTube back in like, pre the first Trump administration, like 2015 era. This is back when like there was a pretty solid pocket of like a collective of YouTubers who were known for like profound edginess, and they would like often collaborate. And then we had our like old school collaborations between iDubbbz and H3. And since then, their paths have kind of like separated, where iDubbbz almost had like a sort of identity crisis, where he became very embarrassed and very disappointed about his previous work, especially with some of the unnecessary inflammatory language. And he kind of like took a step back from that kind of stuff for a while. And then he got hounded on for his girlfriend having OnlyFans or something, and a bunch of incels freaked the fuck out. And then he kind of went on like one of the few sort of YouTuber apology tours where he genuinely seemed to acknowledge why his previous edgy content was wrong, how the language he was using, while not directed to be hurtful, was promoting a sort of, an openness where it allowed people to feel comfortable using, slurs, slurs, just in public, in the open. He saw the harm that it was doing on the youth who were watching the videos, and he recognized that that was doing more damage than good. And so he was received pretty well for, this sort of like comeback. And it was expected he was never going to do a Content Cop again because of this. And then we have on the other side, H3. H3 is one of those channels who I've been watching since, if you've watched H3 stuff, since he and Hila were still in Israel. Like this was a long time ago. And so I got to see kind of their channel, expand and grow from like their far more niche sort of skit-oriented stuff into like your classics like Vape Nation, shit like that. But then at the same time, I began to kind of back off of watching H3's content because of the way that he behaved on the podcast. It is clear that Ethan is a far more reckless and irresponsible person when unscripted, and the content just wasn't compelling, so I stopped watching it, but I would still in the periphery, still occasionally hear about the kind of things that happen on the H3 podcast. And then back in COVID times, I became reacquainted with Ethan due to him setting up the ambush on Steven Crowder, where he got Sam Cedar to show up on the call. That for all of the issues with H3 and with the way that he's conducted himself politically, I will always have a little bit of respect for him pulling that stunt and making Crowder look like an absolute buffoon. But then since then, H3 was mostly just known for kind of nonsense drama, controversy. He then started to associate with Hassan Piker. Hassan is one of those political commentators where like his content to me is kind of like political junk food. It's not the most deep, the most advanced, but it's a guy who's doing broader commentary on a subject that that his coverage is going to be possibly a bit annoying, but generally still reliable in the core structure of it. And then the Hassan H3 beef happened, specifically following the the continued Hamas-Israeli conflict that reemerged very strongly on October 7th. And at that point, I could no longer even like vaguely associate with H3 because his coverage on the matter was ostensibly just genocide denial. If you're not familiar, if you don't know the specifics, what is happening in Gaza is under any definition genocide. If you want to be very cautious, you could say, oh, it's an ethnic cleansing. Maybe it's not fully a genocide. It is a heinous atrocity. There is a lot of complicated back and forth there, but Hassan started to raise a lot of criticisms for H3's, continuing to kowtow and not give Israel its due for being, a fascist genocidal regime that is engaging in a, ethnic cleansing and routinely bombing civilians and children. And so then after the two of them kind of broke away because of this, H3 proceeded to go on genuinely, like, I hate to be ableist, but what comes off as like a truly psychotic episode where he releases what he called the content nuke it reminisced in appearance and kind of aesthetics to the content cop style that iDubbbz did, in which he was like attacking Hassan for all of these nonsense points like, guys, did you know that Hassan is secretly a socialist? Like, just total fucking, like, one of the worst YouTube takedown videos ever made. Genuinely awful. And he just continues to doom spiral, where he nonstop will talk about Hassan, will not nonstop make up extremely wild claims, is rambling about how he's like suing Redditors and how he's suing people who talk bad about him. It's like, Ethan was the guy who got the court case across back way in the day in YouTube lore for the elders, where he was sued by another content creator who made extremely cringe parkour pickup videos. If you know, you know. And he sued H3 for making fun of him. And this became one of the quintessential sort of like legal precedents for YouTube fair use. And for Ethan to be like, you know, the kind of guy championing that case because he was the one being sued. He got all of these donations from the YouTube community. And for him to then boil down to like bitch moaning and crying that people are making fun of him on the internet, and he's got to sue Redditors, and he's got to sue Noah Samson, he's got to threaten to sue Hassan, he's got to do all these different things. It is truly one of the biggest falls from grace ever. So with that context in mind, I genuinely am very curious as to what this video is even going to cover, how intense it's going to go. It seems from the background that iDubbbz is very much not on Ethan's side on this one, despite them being pretty close in the past. I'm going to be very, very interested in this one. We will see. So once again, make sure you check out iDubbbzTV, like actually watch the original video. I'm going to do my best to make this as fair use and as transformative of content as possible. I like reaction content, but I don't like reaction content where it's clearly just leeching off of other people's work. So I want to try to add in as much as I can. I'm going to do this in several parts, most likely, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Destination, the beach is surprisingly dangerous. Consider the
fucking thing in our defense, like, actually, Hila's not a baby killer. Actually, accusing Ethan of killing his dog is maybe too far, because they have...
Actually, Hila's not a baby killer. So that's one of those other big controversies. A lot of people are really... They think that Ethan is far more ambiguous in his support of Israel, but he's far more in support of Hila, who Hila herself was in the IDF. And supposedly she engaged in some not great shit. I mean, it's kind of hard to be a good guy and be in the IDF. Yeah, they force you to join the military in Israel, but it's one of those, like... The way she described a couple of the events in the past came off as very yikes. We'll leave it at that. Hilarious beginning.
Mobilized such an insane harassment group that anybody who says any fucking thing, they will attempt to ruin their lives. And once again, I'm the crazy one. It's not bad enough that I have this...
Oh... What we do here is go back.
Go back.
Okay, I feel like I have to say again, right? Like, for the elders, the YouTube elders, this remains one of the most iconic and quintessential, like, YouTube video series openers. It's so simple in concept, but, like, I will routinely hear the phrase going back or what we do here just in regular life, and I'll immediately, what we do here is go back, and then the hit, and then him doing his nonsense with the police uniform. Iconic. It is art. This is art. Hey, my fellow kids, do you remember hair cake? God, it was such a simpler time. Part of me really misses those days of YouTube, and part of me is extremely glad they're dead. Like, that was right on the tail end of the Gamergate era, and that was such like a clusterfuck of... I feel so old.
What's up, everybody? I'm Hassan Piker, and this is the Hassan broadcast coming to you live from a cloudy day here in California, Los Angeles. We're live and alive, and I hope all the boys, girls, and MBs are having a fantastic one because today's a beautiful day. I have a very important announcement. I've finally done it. I watched Ethan Klein's content nuke, and I'm not going to call it context puke as I normally.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I also didn't expect that. So, like I said, I periodically will catch up on some of the drama, but I do not watch Hassan regularly. I find his like dude bro persona to be like entertaining in bursts. You know, it's not very fantastic on its own. I feel like Hassan is kind of trapped in this cycle with his own audience where they kind of expect him to behave that way, and even if he wanted to like take a more like uniformly professional view or professional kind of persona, I think he would have it in him. But, like, when you have an audience that is so expecting, you know, that kind of sort of weird parasocial dynamic, it almost incentivizes you as the creator to kind of stick to your lane. But otherwise, Hassan generally is decent. I mean, so this is me first learning that he actually watched the content nuke. For the longest time, he has been, like, kind of out of spite and kind of out of principle, been refusing to watch it. His stance has been like, okay, Ethan, you made this extremely shady, extremely duplicitous, video-long nonsense takedown. If you want me to watch it, you have to watch it with me so I can retort it to you live, in person. And so he made that offer to Ethan for quite some time. And this is knowledge to me that he's actually seen it now. He had seen clips before, but he had not seen the entirety.
Normally do, because the reality of the matter is it was brilliant. Nothing was out of context. Everything was correct. I am an Islamist, fundamentalist, radical terrorist.
And he had that Houthi pirate on. One Piece Houthi on. Oh.
Am a vicious anti-Semite. It's true. Most importantly, Ethan is more attractive than me, both physically and also mentally. I've been lying about everything, including my glasses. They're fake. He was right about that. That's not even in the content nuke, and he was right about that too.
Don't forget the amount of like housekeeper slaves that he keeps there and makes him chicken nuggets. Yeah, that's important to the equation. They're all illegal immigrant housekeepers who make him chicken nuggets.
How did he know everything? How? Wake up, Ethan. Wake up, Ethan. Ethan, wake up.
Ethan, wake up, Ethan, wake up. Time to be awake, Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
This is no longer a dream, this is a nightmare. Wake up.
Ethan, the dumb bitch is telling you to wake up.
Wake up,
Ethan, wake up.
wake up, Ethan.
Ethan, wake up.
Wake up.
Since anyone?
Just wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up.
Wake up. Wake up, Ethan.
I'm not gonna do a react content yet, chat.
I'm the same. Nobody's telling you to wake up, Ethan.
Ooh, yummy. I love Sabra hummus.
Time to wake up, Ethan. Wake up.
Ethan.
Wake up, Ethan.
Wake up.
This goes hard. Yeah, this really adds to the general like delusion headspace that Ethan has been operating in for months at this point. Apparently, like, from the when I searched this up again, apparently he has indeed reacted to this. I am very curious what the fuck he thought of this.
I didn't plan on making a content cop on H3. It sounds very stupid even saying that. H3 content cop, iDubbbz. Ethan Klein's out of control. And then you should do a content cop on Hassan Piker. Content cop on Sargon of Akkad. If I would have...
Guys, remember Sargon? God, talk about like a peak fall off. Holy shit. That dude had way too much influence in like the skeptic, alt-right community back in post-Gamergate days when the guy was like a total moron. His biggest weakness was the inability to read words in front of him on a news article that he insists on discussing and completely making a mockery of. Remember when he ran for public office and how he got absolutely curb stomped for it? Oh. Does he still make videos? Is he still a person? I don't even know if I want to search for it. I don't want to be disappointed to see that he still just has like a shadow 100,000 followers who continue to watch his shit on the regular. We're just going to pretend he doesn't exist. It's going to be better for my mental health. We'll put that over there and we'll proceed onward.
In 2016, I would have been like, oh yeah, if I ever do that, it's gotta be because I lose the plot. Well, it turns out it's not me losing the plot, it's Ethan. He's the one who fucking attacked first.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up.
So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
All right, guys, I'm gonna tell you a story.
No, genuinely though, watching even clips of the H3 podcast and their streams, it is just a cavalcade of the most like delusional ramblings, ranting and raving. It comes off as very unwell. I'm not even trying to be mean about it. It seriously comes off as a mental breakdown. I don't like... And then he still just has like so many sycophants who are so obsessed with their parasocial relationship that they're unwilling to tell the dude like, hey man, you've lost the plot. You've been in a never-ending crash out for the last like half a year at this point. Shape up. Like it's not even compelling content, right? Like I can appreciate like a drama crash out. I never watched it, but like I like watching in retrospect or studying in retrospect about like the Frenemies podcast. You know, there's like some shit there. It's stupid drama content, but it's interesting. This is just like delusional crash out. It is awful content to watch. Why does he keep discussing it every single fucking day? Move on. Find something else to do. But no, he has to continue to rant and rave about Ethan. It has become his entire life. It is an unhealthy fixation.
About Ethan Klein. I know some
that is so low res.
Following him, but there's a lot of people who might not be familiar with the background, with his podcast, with what's been going on over the past couple of years.
The original
Ethan,
set,
as you know, is a content creator who has a podcast where he says all sorts of outrageous stuff. Sometimes it's fun, sometimes it's fucked up. He's had shows with all sorts of different controversial characters. He's had a show with Trisha Paytas. He's had a show with Hassan Piker. In doing so, he's gathered a ton of different audiences. Now, in his podcast with Hassan, Leftovers, they would mostly talk about surface level progressive shit and make fun of right-wingers.
And you're telling me he didn't flick their dick once at least?
Oh, that's 100 shavers. You trans women. I say, oh no!
And it was mostly that until they actually had to reckon with a very serious topic. I would say that Hassan...
Yeah, So this is one of those things about Ethan to where, like, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's like he is so insistent on covering political issues, and he's been trying to do it for, like, the last decade at this point. And it just never pans out. He just does not know what he's talking about. And he used to have the humility, like back even during like the Steven Crowder incident, to acknowledge like, hey, this is something I'm passionate about, but I'm not great rhetorically on the subject. I don't know nearly enough on the subject. So I'm going to bring in somebody who is more aware, and I'm going to use my platform as a way to bring awareness to something I myself cannot speak on clearly. That is respectable. Sometimes you need to just know when like it's not your thing. But then, like, he just has, like, this ego about him where, like, he just has to. He's got to keep covering it. The idea of H3 even discussing this conflict is just so baffling to me when he struggled to discuss far more mundane subjects in the past.
Hassan was very well equipped to talk about that topic.
Palestinian people living in the West Bank are subject to these horrific conditions, horrific living conditions by the state of Israel, America's greatest ally and the only democracy in the Middle East, if you ask Republicans and even liberals.
Well, that Dancy invented was so kick-ass.
Israeli settlers are trying to evict Palestinian families in occupied East Jerusalem. The United Nations says that that may be a war crime. It literally is.
Was just eating the toppings, and the pizza looked like a burn victim. It was all disgusting.
I don't know if you can make that joke in 2021.
Why?
It's insensitive to burn victims.
I think it's a good analogy. It's a powerful image.
Ethan.
So it's like, that's the thing. Like, Ethan can have interesting banter when it's on his old classic goofs and gaffs. But it seems like he has, like, he wants to move past that and be taken more seriously, but then he will still just do these rant and raves. Like, it's just, he could make compelling content. He just needs to take a step back and let go of his ego. That is the fundamental issue at hand here. And yeah, do note that, like, Hassan has been pretty consistent on this subject for a long time. Anybody who has eyes, who spends any amount of time reading into the subject, can tell you what has been happening in Palestine by the Israeli forces fits every international legal definition of a genocide. It just is. You can't argue against it. If you support Israel, you are complicit in supporting a genocidal regime. It is that simple. Are there complications with, like, yeah, is Hamas a terrorist group? Yes, Hamas is unambiguously a terror group. That doesn't give Israel the right to mass bomb civilians and children. You don't have the right to just mass kill an entire other group of people because their sort of de facto leadership in a region is a terror group that only exists because you have been engaging in a genocide for several decades. It takes 5 minutes to learn about this shit. It's not that hard. And it
was not prepared for this. Ethan, the whole time, is more of the goof guy, and that's fine. You know,
the goof guy.
Expect Ethan to be an expert on the topic.
He doesn't have to be. Like, there is room for that kind of content. Not everybody wants a cavalcade of, oh, the world is getting worse, the genocides are getting worse, the human rights violations are worse. Sometimes you just need some fucking goof and gaffs. That's fine. That's not a problem. Just don't go out your space if you're not comfortable in it and you can't be confident in it.
Ethan was obviously caught in this tricky situation where he is extremely sympathetic to the Israeli cause and what's happening to them. His wife's Israeli. She served in the IDF. He obviously likes the state of Israel. On the other hand, he's just got done capturing a massive progressive audience who are very politically savvy. They follow Hassan. Hassan is strictly a political streamer. So this is something...
I wouldn't say strictly, but he's covered a lot of reaction videos on subjects that aren't explicitly from the face of it designed to be for political commentary. But what he'll do is he'll then kind of give it a spin, you know, to show that, like, everything is politics. Even seemingly unrelated subjects can be very political. So, like, one of the series that I watched a lot of his a few years back is he was watching a lot of the true crime or, like, interrogation video style channels. So, like, think like JCS. What is it? JCS? Yeah, Jim Can't Swim, Matt Orchard, stuff like that. And so these are videos where it's about, like, police interrogations, you know, criminal justice, stuff like that. And so, like, a lot of the people who are into that content do not view it as being explicitly political, but it is. The way we perceive the law, the way that, like, the police interact with the suspect, the limitations on how they interact, all of this is from a legal framework. And so you can take in this political, leftist, progressive politics and kind of apply it onto a commentary of something that would appeal to a far wider audience. And that's one of the things that Hassan does quite well. So it's not like he's strictly, explicitly just political commentary, but he's able to make it appeal to a wider audience and bring in people on subjects who would not consider themselves to be very political initially. Everything's political. Everybody is political. We just like to pretend that if it's status quo, it's not politics. It is. It always has been. And it is to the benefit of the status quo to make you think that it's not politics.
They are very keyed into. So when they see Ethan say things that are just, like, not accurate and it's just propaganda, they're going to call it out.
Well, it's obvious.
To the sea essentially means the state of Israel is going bye-bye.
So this massive progressive audience that Ethan has, adopted over the years, they're becoming increasingly critical of his position because now he's talking about it not on Leftovers, he's now talking about it on his podcast.
What I want to do is show you guys how I see Israel, because you don't see that when you listen to Hassan and you hear all these people like mega lefties talking about it like it's some super racist.
It is an apartheid state. It is objectively an apartheid state. There is no way you could argue otherwise unless you were fundamentally ignorant or paid to argue otherwise. It is an apartheid state.
Like crazy, like Jim Crow style of society. Like, I can't wait to show you guys.
The other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
So Ethan is having this back and...
Okay, yeah, was that guy investigating him for corruption? Seems like the only people Benjamin Netanyahu will turn away are people who are directly investigating his own corruption.
Forth with his liberal audience, leftist people online, progressive content creators, Hassan, all of these different people. He's finding new people every day, basically, to get in fights with.
Of all people, this guy, Matt Lieb.
Frogan and Denims and all these dipshits. And everybody thinks this guy's awesome, apparently. Even though he looks like Millhouse. Fucking dork.
Denims, by the way, was the real villain of the video. Evil, hateful, fucking... And I'll say it and I'll double down on it. And people... Oh, no? Did I not go there?
And it's all culminated, at least for my story, in Ethan burning bridges with people until he burned the bridge with me. Since Ethan and Hassan's falling out, I've been keeping to myself mostly. I don't have many nice things to say. Maybe if Ethan's able to get some help, maybe if he stops harassing other creators, maybe if he does these things, eventually he'll find peace and we can rekindle our friendship. So that's been my approach. I've occasionally thrown a joke Ethan's way in the form of Hassan Piker versus Ethan Klein for boxing.
I like iDubbbz. He's a good guy, but I don't like this tweet. It's stupid. It's not a fucking petty beef. It's like, this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. And also he's way out of my weight class.
This guy is evil. Truly brain rot. I don't know how Ethan could perceive that in good faith, that he genuinely thinks Hassan is evil after all of their time together. I don't know what... Is it like he's genuinely that mentally unwell, or is he just doing this for his audience? I don't grasp the gain there. It's not really benefiting him.
He didn't like that, but fucking sometimes you gotta just throw something out there. I used to work with this video editor named Froggy Tonic. I discovered him because he was in the circles online that I was in. And one of those circles is an H3 fan. He watched Ethan's content, he liked Ethan's content, until he didn't like Ethan's content. There would be an occasional Froggy tweet where I'd be like, I agree with that, I'm not gonna endorse it, I'm not gonna retweet it or like it, but fair enough.
I guess I just missed my old friend. Some wings are too bird feathered colored.
Now that brings...
God bless. Papa bless, a classic.
Brings us to February 28th of this year. Now, my former editor of a year and a half ago did say some truly mean shit. He called Hila the C word. He said they're trying to kill their dog with cheddar cheese and a bunch of other shit, I'm sure. Ethan, at some point, discovers that
God, what an unpleasant image. Holy fuck.
iDubbbz's former editor says this horrendous shit about him and Hila. But no one's asking the question, where does Ethan get this information from? You see, it would be very obviously a problem if Ethan was discovering this content by scrolling through Twitter looking for something to upset himself with. He has maybe set it up in such a way where his employees feel the need to send him this information, and that would be horrible. They shouldn't be doing that. They should be sending you things that are entertaining for your show that don't fucking...
Yeah, I mean, it basically just seems like a hate spiral where it's just constantly finding new things to get upset about. The conservative lifestyle.
Trigger the hell out of you. Why is there so much work being put into discovering this guy on Twitter who's barely getting any interactions, linking him to me and posting on the Reddit when there's no work being put into who the fuck is the person on the Reddit who's posting this in the first place. If you do a little bit of research, it seems like it's an account whose intention is to make Ethan crash out. One of the users on the Snark Reddit points this
Not like that's super difficult.
out. They're like, I've seen this account before. This account has scraped its
Oh, a lifelong Destiny fan? Oh, okay. So that was the first sign. Yeah, that was the first sign. Talk about another audience that is like so up their own ass. Holy shit. Destiny rant a different day. I don't have the patience for that fuck. Sex Pestiny.
its history, and it's now trying to make Ethan burn bridges. This is within Ethan's own community. Like, this is the thing that he needs to be critical of. It's not me. So yes, I am willing to admit that my former editor was being very nasty, uncharitable, and fucked up towards Ethan and Hila on Twitter. But Ethan and Hila are doing the same shit on their podcast. So I don't want to fucking hear it.
Terrorist supporter.
The CEO of Twitch.
Pedophile.
Now I'm going to watch and respond
Just casually engaging in slander, you know, for real.
on to the two podcast streams where Ethan and Hila call us spineless cowards.
Anyway, this guy was saying shit like that Hila's a Nazi, that she kills kids, that she went on like, she's a IDF baby killer, all this types of shit. And that's showing up right up on us Nisa's and iDubbbz's feed. My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
You don't
What? What?
know what's on my feed. What the fuck is happening? For all you know, I only use the For You tab. For all you know, I only use lists. For all you know, I'm seeing these things tweeted out by my editor of a year and a half ago and saying, God, that is nasty. I'm just not gonna throw someone away because they're having a parasocial weird moment. Just like I'm not gonna throw Ethan Klein away because he's having a parasocial weird crash out.
How many women I fucked? Hassan, by the way, thousands. Yeah, thousands. Let me ask Galia. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry. Oh my God. Hassan's the type of dude who watches himself in the mirror when he has sex.
Watching me on a 30-second delay on your stream.
Wait, that's what I'm. Wait, how does he know I'm watching already?
Because you've been talking about it for the last 5 minutes.
It's not a fucking petty.
Because you've been talking about it for the last 5 minutes. Dan, you gotta get out of there, man. What does he have on you? You gotta get out of there.
Beef. It's like this guy is evil and he's doing anti-Semitism. These shoes do not go. I'm sorry.
There are many people, I'm sure, who have unfollowed you for the things that you have said and done, and I'm sure there are even more people who have stayed following you because they don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater. They don't want to throw someone away because they've had some hard moments. We're all fucking human.
My good fucking friends who I stood by after all these fucking years can't find a spine to speak up. You know why? Because they'll get murdered.
And what you're saying to me is that I'm a bad friend and I'm a piece of shit. I'm spineless. I'm cowardly because I am following someone on Twitter.
Because they have mobilized such an insane harassment group. It's not bad enough that I have this group of people harassing me and everyone in my life. It's that people outside of this group, journalists, creators, are actively participating in this gaslighting to make it seem like I'm fucking crazy.
I mean,
you look real sane right now, Chief. You're looking real great right now. That totally didn't just look absolutely... I gotta work on my ableism. I gotta work on it. It's a struggle that I live with daily.
I don't know what he's getting at here. Like, yeah, people are gaslighting you. A lot of people gaslit me when I apologized. That was actually like the #1 type of harassment I got, was people gaslighting me and taking my newfound woke ideology to its extreme.
I probably done and stood by iDubbbz and Anissa more than anybody. I've stood by them when all the internet hated them.
I don't like that Ethan brought this up because it makes the relationship feel very transactional.
He also stood by them while having a lot of fun saying the N-word and the F slur right next to each other in response. Remember that one, guys? YouTube back then was such a different time that you could just like casually do that repeatedly and just it not be like a total cancelization. That is, shit was built different.
Actional, like, you know, we're just meant to support each other online despite our own personal morals or principles.
But I'll say this, I don't think they're fucking any friends of mine. And certainly I don't think they're any fucking friends of mine based on the text conversation I had with them too before I even talked about it. So I have nothing, like, I don't need any fucking halfway friends, man.
I thought the text conversation that I had with him was very empathetic. I basically just said, like, I know you and Hila are experiencing a ton of harassment, and I essentially empathize with that, and I think there's something positive.
Yeah, right. So, like, two things can be true at once. There is room for nuance. Ethan is in the wrong and is having a complete crash out, while simultaneously there is likely a cavalcade of equally deranged lunatics insisting on, like, spam harassing him. Then we have the situation with the CPS call and all of that drama, like unacceptable behavior. If you're going to call out Ethan for crashing out, you cannot yourself be in a state of crash out while harassing him. Have standards. I think with a person like Ethan, the best thing to do, I mean, unless you're personally related to him, is, yeah, just ignore the shit. At a certain point, people are just going to have to stop talking about it. I know I'm perpetuating that. Please, I'm desperate for attention. No, but it's like, there is a huge problem of, like, the most parasocial, go outside, touch grass motherfuckers insisting on harassing other creators on behalf of their favorite creator without being requested to do so. And so I can believe that Ethan is receiving an insane amount of harassment that is inappropriate and not rational. That can be true while him also being in the wrong.
To get out of the conversation. But he refused to talk on the phone unless I was willing to publicly say something about my former editor and denims. As much as you don't want halfway friends, I also don't want that kind of halfway friends.
Yeah, transactional. Yeah, that's... Can you imagine saying that? Yeah, like...
I don't want someone who's going to give me like an ultimatum to have a conversation.
Could you not say something when this is like, imagine like one of you guys is like, Hassan actually wants to go to Gaza so he can strangle Israeli babies or some shit like that. I'd be like, you imagine me not saying something.
You're trying to make a one-to-one comparison where there isn't one. This guy that I follow on Twitter is not in the same relationship as you and one of your current employees who is streaming with you 3 days a week, 3 hours a day for the past 10 years. At one point during the stream, Ethan and Hila bring up Adam McIntyre. Now, Adam does basically the same thing as my former editor. He's critical of Ethan and Hila, and...
Oh, remember Adam? Damn. It's been a while since I've watched Adam's content. That's one of those things with the YouTube algorithm where, like, at some point it'll just, like, stop recommending you channels that you, like, had watched. I don't know. The YouTube algorithm is cooked. It's just a different kind of cooked every year.
He is sometimes uncharitable and nasty towards them.
Adam McIntyre needs to just, like, disappear. That guy is a piece of shit, like, of the lowest order. I never even stood by him when he talked bad about Trisha having a kid and called him like the spawn of Satan. He was supposedly on our side. I would never even co-sign that. I was disgusted by that statement too. I remember when he called her kid the spawn of Satan.
I never said anything.
And
like
I was
that.
supposed to be like cheering on, but I wasn't gonna cheer that on. That's disgusting.
Why did you forget that he called her?
Yeah, but did you call it out? I don't know on that one. Did you though?
Children, which is something we would never do. The spawn
Never.
of Satan.
It's disgusting.
And
a
I
piece
mean,
of shit of a human.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
The ones defending the nation, committing an ongoing genocide. Totally the good guys.
Unfortunately, they never made a statement. They never said that they disagree with his statement about Trisha's baby until.
Of course they didn't.
Like, what is it, 3 years later? Like, I mean, you're talking about it like you were aware of it at the time and that there was some amount of pressure or enthusiasm for you to get down with that. And what it sounds like to me is that you did see it at the time and you were like, ooh, I don't like that. And you didn't endorse it and you didn't fuck with it. Huh. It's almost like that is a fucking identical situation to me.
It's just incredible who ends up being the good guys in this story. You know, it's really something.
So yeah, the reason I'm bringing this up is because they're trying to like paint themselves as the good guys, and they're saying like, yeah, we strongly disavow things that are said, even about our enemies. We are the most immoral people on the internet. Unlike Ian and Anissa, who are fucking keeping to themselves. Also, why the fuck does Olivia get the pass?
What a fucking asshole for putting you in that position, Olivia. You're friends with him. And you don't have to say anything, but like, what a fucking piece of shit. What a bad friend to put you in that position just for some fucking clout. It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit, okay? Olivia did not do anything. And
I want the pass. Do I have to be an employee to get that treatment? Because
I guess so. Yeah, you have to directly make Ethan money for that to happen.
then you'll just see me as an ally? Or is it because Ethan is afraid of wrongful termination accusations and lawsuits?
And also, I don't mind putting my friend Olivia, who's apparently my real friend, in a terribly weird, fucking uncomfortable situation where you end up getting hate for no reason.
Also, don't frame it as like other people making it hard on Olivia. You're making it hard on all of these people. Please acknowledge your role in this whole fucking thing. Like, it's crazy how warm Ethan is to Olivia and saying how Olivia is essentially just a victim in this whole thing.
It gets people angry at you, like, oh, how can she be friends with him? Which is total bullshit.
But me and Anissa are spineless. Ethan, your whole system is scrambled. My intention isn't to throw the employees under the bus. Like, you guys serve as the fucking foundation.
Yeah, so something I can already say kind of about this content cop compared to the other ones is... So it's not necessarily a criticism, it's not necessarily a pro or a con, it's just something of note that makes this distinct from the old era, is that this one seems far more personal, right? Like with the previous ones, he was going after people who were vaguely in the YouTube space, but not like directly associated. This very much seems like iDubbbz was contented to just stay on the sidelines. You know, you do you, Chief. And then, like, when Ethan just insisted on burning as many bridges as possible, then came forward. Not entirely sure how I feel about it. I feel like you could have criticized him anyway, but I'm here for it. It just does come off as a lot more personally inspired compared to the other ones.
For calling out Ethan's hypocrisy on the whole subject. And I know that you guys have probably pushed back against Ethan over the years. How often are you supposed to do that? Do you have to do that every fucking week? It kind of seems like it. And that's exhausting. I don't want to confront my boss. It's not my fucking job to confront my boss and say, today's segment on rapists and pedophiles on Twitch was not like my favorite segment to be part of.
Yeah, friends like these.
Oh yeah, and our other good friends.
Yeah.
Anissa and Ian. Thanks, Anissa, for standing up for your girl. I actually stood up for you so many times, cause like, why would I not? It was crazy.
Yeah, why would you not? I mean, if that's truly what you believed and you weren't just gonna use it later.
Of course I was gonna stand.
Well, it's like, even if you did stand up for them, that doesn't change the fact that the core central issue here is Hassan freaking the fuck, or is Ethan freaking the fuck out at Hassan for calling Ethan out for perpetuating an ongoing genocide. We have to remember that this entire beef started because H3 cannot just not back Israel. That is the central situation here. That's how all of this shit began. All of this like extremely petty niche YouTube drama is all centered around an ongoing genocide. Fucking
But
hell.
that's insane. It's absolutely insane and disgusting. But now you choose to hang out with people that would have a problem with you if you defended me.
I'm not going to assume that Hila knows, but I'll say it for anyone who doesn't know. Anissa is half Lebanese and half Irish. For anyone unfamiliar, the Irish have been on the receiving end of a lot of oppression and genocide.
And the Irish have been one of the few countries who has routinely been calling out the genocide. I have a lot of respect for the Republic of Ireland for actually being one of the few countries in Europe that is not just backing a genocide. I feel like that's a pretty low bar to cross, but these days you take what you can get.
On the part of the Lebanese, they've received a lot of oppression and attacks from the IDF. So
Yeah.
Anissa is very well familiar.
A lot of attacks into southern Lebanon for incredibly dubious reasons. Don't forget all the journalists who died trying to cover that one. Israel wants you to forget them, but yeah.
With the propaganda and the shit coming out of Israel. Choosing now, out of all the times, to be like, please defend me. No, we're not gonna fucking defend you.
Rudy was saying that Palestinians are taught at 2 years old to kill Americans.
Do we have that one?
Like just the other day, BB fired a really good guy that a lot of people are pissed about.
He looked mean. I thought he was mean.
Israel warns can send Lebanon back to Stone Age as UN seeks de-escalation. Gallant says Israel can inflict massive damage as UN humanitarian chief says war could be potentially apocalyptic. He totally has the best interest of the people in mind. He's...
Because he looked mean.
No, it's not.
No.
Yes, you caught us. We're not gonna run to your defense when, I don't know, we follow people. We be following. That's one fucked up thing that you can say about Anissa and I is when
we
we're
be
on
following.
Twitter, we do be following.
So,
the problem.
Okay, if you want to hang out with those people and have no spine and not stand up for another girl that stood up for you, enjoy your new friends.
She's
Like, why is this about, like, interpersonal relationships again? Like, you are defending a genocide. The fact that this has to do with fucking followers is, like, true postmodern hellscape. Like, what the...
Friends with people like Denims.
I know, yeah.
Which I'll
she's
show
friends with
Denims is
Denim.
Over half of their current
informants. Child Protective Service lie.
It literally feels like half of H3 staff are like... I have to imagine they feel quite trapped, you know, to where like they've built their entire backing off of this project and like they're watching their boss continuously lose their shit. How do you get out of that situation? I have to imagine it's like far better pay, far better like of a work experience than most things. So it's like take like the friend aspect, you know, they're not just like coworkers. They're like many of them have been friends for many years. There's the like power dynamic situation of being the employee. Like that's fucked. I can't even imagine what that would be like, watching your boss continue to lose their shit and you having very little power to do anything about it that wouldn't cost you your entire livelihood. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, and if you're friends with them, then you're seeing what they're saying.
You'll notice that Ethan and Hila start talking about this Denims character. Originally, the complaint was about my former editor. He's been chatting shit about Ethan and Hila for the past year at least. They only care about it now because I guess it was spoon-fed to them via their Reddit that's clearly looking out for them. Now, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, where we are friends with Denims, but I would say it's the same level of friendship that we had with Ethan and Hila. It's like kind of an internet friendship. We think that she's a good person like we think Ethan and Hila are good people. Kind of a tricky situation. How can you possibly think that they're both good people at their core? People can have crash out moments. People can say things that they don't mean.
People are complicated. Shit is complicated. Nobody is just one way. Everybody is liable to change. And treating it as like a black and white situation is a very, very dangerous pattern to go down. And that's why seeing Ethan just label Hassan as evil is just so ridiculous. Like I can't believe that he believes that. That just seems farcical to me.
People can say things because they want internet clout and attention. I don't know. I think they're both probably guilty of saying things that they don't mean for internet clout and attention. Right now, one's a little bit more fucking nasty to me than the other.
I just don't see how you can be my friend and also be friends with someone like that.
Well, you can't. So I already forgot about you.
I actually have a lot of friendships that are kind of that way, where it's like, you know, one of the friends doesn't fuck with the other friend, but there is someone in the middle who kind of fucks with both of them, but separately. Yeah, there's a lot of friendships that are like that. I'm not gonna make you guys like meet up and kiss or anything. I get it. You guys are in fucking, you're either my best friend who's deep-throating me to the base of my cock, or you are Satan. You're
the way God intended.
But the Davil.
The last thing I said to Anissa, we were texting before I ever talked about it. he's like, I don't care about this guy. He's a nobody, and you know, blah blah blah. And I said, well, then you'll have no problem publicly denouncing it, right?
Mhm.
And then from there, the conversation ended.
She never replied.
Ethan, you can't even phrase it in a way that doesn't make you sound like you're being coercive and shitty.
It sounds coercive. It sounds like it'd be a shame if you didn't condemn this person I'm having a public crash out about. It'd be a real shame.
Well, then, you should have no problem publicly denouncing it, right? Does that sound like a friend? Like a kind of...
Villain shit. Like, it sounds like a cartoon villain shit.
This sounds like something a powerful villain would
Yeah,
say.
villain
But
shit.
it was so funny how she immediately went to comment everywhere, like on our subreddit. She immediately had to comment like, "Oh, he doesn't work with us anymore."
Then
But that was it. That's all she said.
But then say that you don't.
Okay. Do you have
agree.
anything else to say for your friends though?
One of the reasons Anissa was so quick to clarify things in your Reddit is because your Reddit was already talking about who this editor is, and they were spreading misinformation that it was our co-host on our podcast, Uncle Dane. So yeah, the last thing we wanted is this guy getting pulled into this mess, and you guys don't give a fuck. Would it have been nicer and more supportive to say, we don't agree with the things he's saying and we support Ethan and Hila? Sure. Like, yeah, that would have been a nicer thing to say. Our silence means something. It means that we would like to pause this relationship so you figure your shit out.
Yeah, silence does have a lot of implications and meaning. Yeah, especially in something like this where it's like they're only tangentially associated. They're friends, and again, as he said, like an internet context. Why would you pull your shit into that when this is like an incredibly heated debate that is like this parasocial nightmare? Why would you want to associate with it in any way? Maybe like a private discussion is like its own thing, but like the fact that Ethan wants other people to weaponize their audiences against his own enemies is like really telling about the way he views relationships, is like transactional defense based. It's disconcerting to say the least. And the fact that he's just so willing to demand that of other people speaks very heavily to his ego.
And then maybe we can find a moment in time, I don't know how long it'll be, but a moment in time in the future where things are a little bit easier to broach. I don't think we need to do it right now, but you've insisted that this is an important thing to address. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me on your Instagram story. I would have been perfectly fine with you not blasting me and my wife on your podcast twice. I would be fine with you not brigading my comment section on my podcast that gets 3,000 views a week because I prefer to not do harassment campaigns and instead talk about Vampire's Kiss.
Like they say something like he doesn't work for me, and I strongly disagree, and I support Ethan and Hila. The problem is
that she doesn't.
The problem is they don't owe you that. They don't owe you that. Why would they stake their reputation on a sinking ship like this? They're so up their own ass that they don't realize that even association with them is harmful for your reputation. Both on like the political, again, they continue to do defense for a genocidal regime. And then on the interpersonal, they're just assholes. Like they're just really unpleasant to watch. They're unpleasant to be around. There's no fun to it anymore. Why would you want to associate with them for either reason, let alone both? They don't owe you that.
That's the problem.
That's the problem.
She actually.
She thinks they have a point.
That's the problem.
Yeah. So go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Go fuck yourself. What about your girl? This is what I'm talking about. This aggression that you're putting out into the world. What the fuck do you think we're gonna do? You think I'm gonna fucking sit on my hands when you do this shit? Like, this is nasty. We had such a fair response to what you guys were going through. We don't support harassment. It's a bad thing, but it happens, and you're perpetuating it.
You fucking propagandist, lying scumbag, terrorist supporter. He probably sets up a mirror and jerks off watching himself. Dan KKK Clancy has a similar view of Hitler. Because Dan Clancy, the Nazi, fucking anti-Semite.
You can't expect other people to...
Why would they want to hop in on your vitriol? It's just... It's crude to say, but like it's just bad optics. It is bad public relations to even be remotely associated with them.
stop harassing you if you continue to harass people. Let's think about it on a micro level. Have you ever been in a comment section and found someone to argue with? It doesn't stop. It can literally go on
forever. Yeah, that's one of those, like, this is one of those, like, it's gonna sound simultaneously fucking crazy, but, like, I do think that it is an issue that I need to work towards. One of my biggest weaknesses is I am incapable of letting someone be wrong in my presence. To where it's like, I just gotta fucking fight with them. I can't let well enough be. I can't. And so it's like, with those kind of comment chains, like, it just takes so much out of you. It's not worth your time. A lot of times the people you're trying to argue with are not even open to being persuaded. They're not looking for that. And some of them are just doing it to fuck with you. And if you continue to play into it, it's just going to be this never-ending cycle. And H3H3 is basically just the podcast version of a Reddit comment chain, where it's just this dumbass back and forth. It's not really elucidating any information. It's just smearing. It reminds me profoundly of the old post-Gamergate blood sports era. If you were around back then you know what was up with that. It's not about the issues anymore. It's just smears. It's just vitriol. It's not productive. And at some point, we all need to learn to just let go. Like, it's not worth it. You need to learn to pick your battles. That's something I'm working on, and it is clearly something that Ethan needs to fucking work on far more than me, because I can get mad at people, but I can't send thousands of people to go harass random editors or random Redditors or whoever the fuck is the next target. I imagine that even this video is going to be bombarded with fucking H3 fans bitch moaning and crying. I had like a tiny video that I recorded like a month ago. It only got like a couple hundred views, and it was flooded with hate comments from the H3 group. Learn to just let go sometimes. It's not worth it. It's not worth the damage it's doing to your psyche. It's not worth the effort. Especially, it's not worth it when you know that your interlocutor is not acting in good faith. And at this point, it's hard to tell if Ethan is even, like, considering good or bad faith, because he's just so deep in the crash out that they've become one and the same. Like, he's simultaneously really genuine with his anger, but then he's using really dumb argumentations to back it up.
If you don't want to touch grass.
I mean, yeah, this was kind of like a line, what happened today, that should never be crossed, even by, like, the most cynical, toxic people. It's going to have ramifications in terms of how I conduct myself. In terms of these fair weather friends who are, you know, so happy to be friends as long as they're getting something out of it.
Okay, I've been kind of holding off on it until now, but, like, I feel like it has to be commented. So, for those of you who don't know, and, like, Ethan has talked about this, he has Tourette's. Okay, and it exhibits in a bunch of different, like, kind of tics or twitches or different things that he does. And it's been a thing that has been part of his content from the very beginning. But to me, it genuinely looks like it gets far worse when he's in these rage states. Where, like, in the past, there could be videos where you don't really see him doing much of anything outside of, like, very minor tics. But, like, when he's in these, like, angry rant states, he's doing all sorts of Tourette's tics that, like, again, I hate to say it, but it just makes him look collectively deranged. Like, it's clearly not, like, it genuinely seems to be having negative health consequences for him to be, like, getting this upset. I feel like he needs to just, like, take a break. Like, maybe just taking a step back from the internet for, like, a week or two would be something that would be very good for him. It optically looks really bad. I know it's a complicated subject, but, like, it certainly isn't helping your case when the hate brigades harassing you are seeing your crash out and then seeing you do all of these, like, really, really, really strong and above normal tics. I've seen people make allegations that he's on drugs. That's likely bullshit. That is just ableist to say that. You don't know that, but, like, he does not look in the right state of mind. I hate to say it. I'm going to get... H3 community is going to be so mad at me for saying that one. Fuck it. I got an audience and nobody... Try to cancel me of my, 80 subscribers. Fuck it. You bastards.
Ethan, that is a rich thing to say. Like, you're the H3 podcast, okay? There's a lot of friends of the show. There's even more fair weather friends of the show. Let's not get into this shit, okay? That is so bizarre and insulting to suggest that I was only ever being friends with you to get something out of it. No, I'm friendly with you, and I'd say I'm a light friend because it's been pleasant hanging out with you. I've enjoyed your content over the years.
And they made some cool collabs back in the day. You know, it was fine. It was like a far less intense environment. It doesn't have to be more than that.
And as of late, it's gotten really fucking shitty.
Yeah, so go fuck yourself.
I agree.
Who else? Who else do we want to burn today?
Who else do we want to burn?
Why say that? Like, how does that possibly benefit you to say that? Fucking...
Today, you're making it so fucking obvious that this is your emotional dumping ground. It's horrible. This is not what podcasts are.
Yeah, I mean, to be completely honest, like, frankly, it's even just, like, irresponsible for your platform. Like, this is a subject that you'll see kind of, like, bantied about every few years on YouTube or on social media in general, where content creators fail to really appreciate the ramifications of that they are a figure that people will take them at their word and then engage in behaviors from. It's this, like, level of responsibility over your own platform. And, like, to use the H3 podcast, a pretty big platform, to just spew vitriol and hate and to just air all of this, like, personal dirty laundry is so deeply inappropriate on, like, a fundamental level. You know, I've managed to draw this one out for a hot minute. I think I'll make this be the end of part 1. I'll be coming back with another part in a couple hours. I hope to get these uploaded soon. I want to really get into more reaction content. It's one of those, I can write video essays, I just don't have an editor. But with reaction content, I feel like I can kind of use my strength for extemporaneous speech. You know, kind of just being able to have that communication live on the spot. And it has that dual benefit of I can't edit for shit, so hopefully this was at least interesting to somebody. I managed to draw 27 minutes of content into an hour of reaction time. Hopefully people join in for the second part. This is a very interesting video so far.